Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. Today we're going to figure out whether you might be ready to knit a larger item like a jumper or a sweater. Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. I'm here with Knitting Natter to help you learn to knit the easy way. Yes, it's one of the ambitions of a lot of knitters, knitting a large item like a jumper or a sweater, maybe a long cardigan, something like that. So when do you think you might be ready to knit that? I've got lots of tips for you to help you decide whether you're ready, whether it might be an ideal first project, or whether you need to wait a while. So I'm going to answer that last question first. Everyone's different, and there will be people out there who really relish a long project, who say, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to start knitting, and the first thing I'm going to knit is going to take me 3-6 months to knit because it's such a long project. And yes, that's where jumpers might come in. So let's get you sorted and move you towards that so you will be ready to knit a jumper. And you certainly will be able to do that. If you're only just starting knitting now, you'll be able to knit a jumper for next winter. So you could even start knitting one maybe in 6 months, 9 months or 12 months time, and you will be ready most definitely. So the first thing you need to understand and get to grips with, of course, is the foundations of knitting. And that is all about putting stitches on your needle and using the knit stitch to just knit. You could go and watch this video and get lots of ideas of all the small things you can knit with just using the knit stitch. It can be so simple, things like a bookmark, a coaster or a headband or a scrunchie. They can be so simple to knit, small items, and it will take less than a whole ball of yarn, and you can get through them and then say, okay, I'm ready for the next one. You're learning about knitting as you go, and lots of small items will mean you're really motivated to say, oh, I've finished another one, I'm going to use it. I've finished another one, I'm going to use that one too. That's your first step, understanding and learning the foundations. The next thing you have to understand is that as you're knitting, and you're learning to knit especially, your tension will change. And what's that all about? Well, when you're learning to knit, you may have really tight stitches on the needle, or maybe really loose stitches on the needle, or you may end up thinking, hang on a minute, it's a different size and shape from when I started knitting. Well, that's because you're learning to knit. Everyone goes through that. I went through that when I was learning to knit as a child. It's just one of those things. So for some reason, stitches appear from nowhere. And then another reason, they disappear as well. And then you look at it and you think, hang on a minute, there's holes in it. Where did that come from? And you don't really want that when you're knitting a jumper. If you're starting to knit and you think, hang on, oh, look at the back. It's got really strange holes and it looks bigger than it should. And that's really, really not ideal for wearing a jumper. So that's one of the main reasons. You need to get past that stage so you can say, actually, my tension, so it's not too tight, it's not too loose, it's a Goldilocks tension right in the middle. It feels right when I'm knitting. So that's ideal. And also your tension isn't so one way or the other that you end up with feeling that you've got holes in it, or that it's so tight that it ends up far too small. The other thing with knitting a jumper is that you're going to need 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 balls of yarn to knit one. So what do you do about that? Are you going to suddenly go, I've knitted an item with less than half a ball of yarn? Oh my goodness, that's a whole bag full of yarn. What am I going to do? I've got to knit this thing with so many balls of yarn. It's going to feel like such a mammoth task that you've never done anything in between. So I would really suggest that you do just move gradually up to using more and more balls of yarn as you go. So you may say, okay, well, I'll knit some placemats or a cushion cover. The other option is to knit some scarves. Go and have a look in my knitting kit shop, but they're only using 3 balls of yarn or 4 balls of yarn. They're perfect next step knits. They're perfect halfway house knits. Knitting something like this scarf with only 3 balls of yarn means that you're ready and willing to take on a project that needs more time to knit it. Obviously you're going to take more time to knit something like this. It will feel like a real accomplishment as you finish it and as you get through it. I've knitted 2 stripes, yay! And that's the kind of goals that you need to reach for when you end up knitting a jumper. It's like, oh, I'm halfway through the sleeve, yay! I finished the first sleeve, yay! But this will help you get an even tension all the way through the knit. So you're not starting out with something like this, you're looking at it and going, oh no, that's so uneven, there's holes in it, what's going wrong? You're getting through this once you've knitted some other things first. The other thing I would suggest is that you knit at least one hat. Something like a hat that has got shaping in it. I always suggest knitting a hat for beginners. Even if you don't wear hats yourself, go and knit a hat for a friend or something, because this is such a brilliant project. It will take you one ball of yarn, but the idea is that you learn new techniques in it. If you're knitting a hat, you're going to have to shape the top of it, and that means making fewer stitches as you get near the top. That includes new techniques as a knitter, and they're easy for beginners to catch on with. It's just a bit of a challenge, but it's a single ball of yarn. You knit one hat and you go, I've got it, I understand it. That's likely to be in a beginner jumper pattern. So get past that step, you're ready. You've knitted larger projects such as a scarf like this. You're getting used to tension. You're not knitting with holes and strange things happening to your knitting that really is just a rite of passage as you're a beginner knitter, and you're learning new techniques as you go. I mean, such as this, if you want to knit a stripy jumper, if you knit a scarf like this, then you're ready to go. As you can guess, I'm kind of enthusiastic about getting beginner knitters started. I just love the idea of knitting, picking it up, joining the journey of knitting, moving past those first steps. Certainly, yes, you'll be able to knit a jumper soon, but just take a few steps first, and then a jumper is right on your path. I promise you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again soon. If you're new here, welcome, and do subscribe and click on the notifications bell. YouTube will let you know whenever there's a new video, and that's every Tuesday, every week that I'm here. And of course, do go and explore the YouTube channel playlist for beginner knitters. That's Beginner Knitters 101. Thanks so much for being here today. I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Happy knitting.